This NASCAR Chicago DFS picks episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog. Get up to $1,000 deposit match when you sign up for UnderdogFantasy.com. Promo code RACESGPN.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'm just gonna put my foot on the floor and I'm not lifting till I see God or a checkered flag.
My man.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
We want to thank you tonight for these mighty machines that you brought before us. Thank you for the Dodges and the Toyotas. Thank you for the Fords. Lord, I want to thank you for my smoking hot wife tonight, Lisa. In Jesus' name, boogity, boogity, boogity.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Welcome in to another edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast. I am Cody Zeeb. Of course, Rod Villagomez out on assignment with the U.S. Army, so he will not be joining me once again today. Going to jump into DFS picks today because the books, once again, being slow. They've got Xfinity Series outrights out, a couple of props, but not everything we want. So we'll be back tomorrow to talk, or I'll be back tomorrow, I guess, to talk about the Xfinity Series race at Chicago. Going to talk a little bit of Xfinity today, though, because Underdog also doesn't have their stuff up. So just rolling with the punches and, going with what we got here. So going to talk a little bit of Xfinity Series DFS, going to talk a little bit of Cup Series DFS for Chicago. And, of course, I will be interacting with the chat, be taking all of your questions, comments, concerns, all that fun stuff. Cousin Danny checking in, says SVG, wants to know why there's an Oompa Loompa pictured on the thumbnail. I'm guessing he's talking about Richard Stenhouse Jr. We'll talk about that. We're going to get to it. Nick checking in says, what up? What up, Nick? A1LV says third. Hello, welcome in. Good to see you. I don't think I've seen you in the chat before. JDK says, bringing huge energy. I don't know if that was a joke or if I am bringing huge energy. I'm trying to bring some energy. It's I got to bring it when Rod's usually the energetic one of us, so I got to do it for him. JDK, Custer, Gilly, John Hernimacek, SVG, Reddick, McDowell, best DFS lineup possible. So that's the show. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Have a good one. Those are JDK's picks. So play that, win millions, and see you on an island someday, I guess. So the Experts Suck checking in says, made it. Welcome, the Experts Suck. Appreciate you joining live. Marcus checking in. This might not be a surprise to many, but he predicts Christopher Bell going to win the Chicago Street Course. Of course, if you listened yesterday to the Cup Series betting picks episode, Rod was not here, but Rod did as well predict that Christopher Bell will win 7-1. That was his outright in the picks that he gave me to give out for him. So, make sure you go back and listen to that if you haven't. Also, did you know the SGPN has its own podcast feed for all the shows, just called the SGPN Network? You can listen to every podcast episode on this network for free just by subscribing to the SGPN feed. Get it wherever you get your podcasts. There's a ton of great shows in there. Of course, the main Sports Gambling Podcast show. If you don't know, that's how I became part of this network, right? I was just a listener of that show prior to having my own show and doing all the work I do for them now. Great show. Absolutely love Sean and Ryan and their commentary. The way they go back and forth is great. Old-fashioned football. MLB Gambling Podcast is in full swing right now. WNBA. Tons and tons of other shows. Of course, we're over there with the NASCAR Gambling Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to that SGPN feed. Help us out. All right. Getting into Chicago. JDK says, I'm awful at DFS for full disclosure. So I guess take his things with a grain of salt, right? But there's not really a ton to talk about today. Kind of leading into this, maybe I should have left the head-to-head picks for the bracket challenge for this because, not a ton of news, nothing like that. So I was just kind of looking through and seeing. We haven't gotten an official announcement on the Connor Zilic deal yet, but the only other kind of news was that came out after the show yesterday was the RFK president leaving to go be the boss for the GOAT, Bill Belichick, over at North Carolina. So kind of an interesting move there, and pulling a NASCAR guy from, pulling a guy from NASCAR to go run the athletic department over there. But as far as news stuff goes, not really much else out there. Of course, talked about the Suarez stuff yesterday. So I say we just jump into the picks and get going early. I will take questions and comments as we go along. Rod busy today with the Army stuff, so wasn't able to get in DFS picks. Hopefully we'll have some Xfinity picks from him tomorrow while he is out and about, if the books ever decide to give us Xfinity, the rest of the Xfinity odds anyways. So going to jump into the Xfinity Series race DFS picks first. And I'll do like we normally do. Start with a high tier guy, a mid tier guy, low tier guy, kind of go along with that. Cousin Danny says, you mean go to work for Bill Belichick? Okay, yes, that's probably the more appropriate thing, I suppose. So there you go. Go work for Bill Belichick. But hey, that he's pretty great guy to work for, I'm sure. Maybe not. But hey, you're gonna get results. That's what matters. So love Bill Belichick, of course, the greatest football coach of all time. All right, so the Loop 110 Xfinity Series race at Chicago. Of course, they're going to be running the same course that the Cup Series guys run over there. And I will look at the entry list here since we've not done the Xfinity Series show yet, have not gone over that, just to kind of cover it, give you what's going on there. 40 entries, 38 spots for that one. This kind of came up in the Discord, I think it was, or maybe yesterday, in the comments. I don't remember where it was, but only one Cup guy entered into the Xfinity race, which is definitely interesting. So 40 entries, 38 spots. So two of these drivers will go home. SVG is that one Cup guy, though. He's going to be in the 9 car for JRM. Obviously, watch out for him, right? We're going to talk about that here in a few. Talk about it tomorrow as well, but he's going to be real dangerous in this race. Connor Mosack is going to be in the number 14 car. Jack Perkins is jumping into the 19 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. I need to do a little bit more digging into him, but assuming he's a street course type of ringer, because not a name I've seen before, putting him in the 19 car for Joe Gibbs. Guessing there's something to that. Kaz Gralla is going to make a return in the number 24 car. My guy Austin Green is back in the number 32 car. Always love him, of course. Pressa Partis back in the number 50. Thomas Annunziata is going to be back in the number 70 car for Derek Cope. And Josh Bilicki, keep that name in mind. We will talk about him in a little bit. He is going to be back in the number 91 for DGM. So that's the entry list. It is 50 laps. That's it in this one. So not many laps led to have, not many fastest laps to have. It's all going to be about finishing position. It's all going to be about place differential. Those are the two things. I mean, if you get a guy that leads 50 laps, which, right, let's face it, we might get that, particularly in an SVG or a Connor Zilic at the top of the board, then those are the guys you're going to want to have for that type of scenario. But not overly concerned, if a guy doesn't lead a ton of laps, it's going to be more about finishing position than anything, more about place differential, certainly as well. The Expert Suck wants to know how a guy from Nebraska becomes a Patriots fan. That's a good question. I sort of lucked into it. I was, I think, so their first Super Bowl would have been 2001, right? Or so. So I was 8 or 9 when the first Super Bowl happened. Really, my dad wasn't into sports much. He didn't have a team or anything like that. Was a Husker fan because everybody here is a Husker fans, but NFL wasn't really big. Like, everybody kind of had their own teams. The Chiefs sucked back then, so it wasn't like they were big, crazy. Like, everybody here says they love the Chiefs now, a bunch of bandwagon motherfuckers. But I thought anybody that was a Chiefs fan was a dick, which still stands pretty true. So, the Patriots-Rams Super Bowl, the first one I remember sitting down and watching. So we sat down to watch, and we're like, okay, we got to pick a team to root for. So we're looking like St. Louis Rams. They're sort of close, right? Midwest. But my mom's like, oh, the Patriots are from Boston. I love Boston. Like, let's root for them. Okay, fine, let's do that. Rooted for them, and they won. And then, I stuck with it. And of course, 6 Super Bowls later was a great decision. Can't wait to see them play for the Super Bowl once again this season, because that will be pretty exciting. Okay, maybe it's not going to be this year, but I do feel good about the direction of the Patriots now that Mike Vrabel is back home where he belongs. All right, let's get into my high price guy for this Xfinity Series race and go straight to the top of the board. Shane van Gisbergen, 12,500. They have priced him up. This is pretty expensive for a guy at the top of the board in Van Gisbergen. So, you have to keep that in mind as you go down and you build out your roster. But I think in the talked about him, and we'll talk about him more today in the Cup Series. So I do want to touch on that more. Hard to bet him based on his number in the Cup Series. Spoiler alert, I am going to be betting him in the Xfinity Series show tomorrow when we talk about it, because I think that Xfinity is completely different. And, I think that we're going to see him probably dominate the Cup race too, but there's more things that can happen in that Cup race. Still things can happen in Xfinity, right? We saw this with Zilich at Mexico, heavy favorite and dominates early, but doesn't work out at the end of the day. Suarez ends up getting the win. That's always something that's out there as a possibility. But in the Xfinity Series, Van Gisbergen has been absolutely lights out. One start here last year in this race, only led 14 laps, but granted, there's only 50 laps in the race, so it's not crazy. You're going to flip the stages, do all that stuff, but he wins that race. Sits on the pole, wins the race. Great day. Goes to Sonoma, same thing. Sits on the pole. Leads 32 laps, wins the race. Goes to Portland. Had to start second there. Horrible starting position for him, but leads 12 laps, wins the race. The Roval, a little bit different, right? He ends up in third place with the third place finish there, but that's not going to completely kill you in DFS. Still a solid day. He did lead 7 laps in that one. Watkins Glen, he ended up with a 5th place finish while leading 14 laps. So still a decent enough day, right? But that's all of his, so he did start at Coda as well, and he had a rough day there. But that one, if you go back and recall, he led how many laps did he lead at Coda? Was 20 laps. If you remember, like late in the race, battling head-to-head with Larson, all this stuff. I think he crossed the line 3rd or 4th or something like that, but then, got the penalty for track limits. I think it was something like that. So he has been lights out in the Xfinity Series every single race. Clearly the best driver out there, right? I mean, at this point in time, I think we're all feel comfortable saying he's the best road course guy, even in the Cup Series. Now you put him in the Xfinity Series. And, when you look at the odds on the board, he's the favorite actually at minus money. Zilich, I think, is like plus 110, plus 150. Sam Mayer is third on the board at 14-1. I mean, it is very, very clear from the betting aspect that the books are all about SVG and Zilich. They think these are going to be the two guys. And I completely agree. Austin Hill shipped him at Coda, JDK says. So thanks for that. But SVG in the Xfinity Series, 12,500. It's a hefty price tag, but I think that he is a must play. Again, if you're trying to be different, you're trying to take down some contests, don't play him in some situations, because there's always things that can happen in these races. We saw it in the Cup race last year. Gets wrecked early. Everybody's going to have him. His rostership is going to be absolutely crazy. So be different in some places, but a majority of places, I think that SVG is a must play. Impulse wondering if Zilich can hang with him. I think that he can. I think that Zilich is that talented. And honestly, if you play both of them, you still have $6,500 left to build the rest of your, on average, right? $6,500 for your other 4. So if you can find 4 guys you like a little farther down the board, I think it would be doable to get both of them in here. And, assuming things go correctly, and they didn't for Zilich just at Mexico not very long ago. So there is that, right? But assuming that they go correctly, I think that, it should be these two guys that are probably head and shoulders above everyone else. A little bit of a stars and scrubs lineup, as the expert suck says. So, and as TK points out, that like massive point here, right? The big thing is at JRM instead of colleague. He may struggle going between both cars. I don't think he's going to struggle at all. But last year, all that dominance was in a colleague car. Now he's in a JRM car, which is way better than a colleague car. So that's even more of a step up. And then A1LV check asking, what do you think Zilich matched up against, or SVG matched up against Zilich at minus 150? I mean, you're probably just better taking the outright, because if he beats Zilich, it's probably going to be to win, right? I mean, it's hard to find. I don't know. And Zilich can hang with him. And I think, now that the 99 deal's been announced that Suarez isn't going to be coming back, we all know Zilich is getting that ride, right? So he's going to want to show up. He's going to want to put out. I just think SVG is the best, and it's by quite a bit, right? I love Zilich. I think he's great, but SVG in this JRM car, he's going to be pretty great this weekend. So he is the top guy on this one. I think that he's the guy to play. So JDK was checking in too and says Perkins is a V8 supercar guy, kind of, not very good. So interesting there. But so I hadn't looked into him too much. We'll see kind of where he's at with the betting market maybe tomorrow, but not overly interested in playing him in the DFS stuff. All right, we are going to attempt to hit a break here quickly, and I am going to tell you about the Circa Million and Circa Survivor. Think you know ball? Then you have to enter the Circa's football contest with $21 million in guaranteed prizes. There is no rake, so if the entries go above the guarantee, all the extra money will go in the prize pool. That's a hell of a deal right there in and of itself. Circa Million, simple. You pick 5 teams against the spread each week, or you go for the ultimate sweat in the Circa Survivor. I say you do both. There's even this Circa Grandismo, a $100,000 Survivor contest. You must register in person at a Circa Sportsbook in Nevada. Great excuse to book a trip to Las Vegas. Tell the wife, hey, we got to go get signed up for this before football season. I know the SGPN or the SGP guys will be there. I think it's week 0 for college football is the week before the NFL starts or something like that. But they're going to be there for that. So great time to go meet them if you get that opportunity. But sign up in Nevada, play from anywhere with the help of SGPN's official proxy. Go to footballcontest.com, use promo code SGP to get 50% or $50 rather off your proxy fees. We are also brought to you by MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. MyBookie is your place to bet on every sport, including the MLB, WNBA, golf, football, course, NASCAR, F1, all the good stuff like that. MyBookie accepts customers from a ton of locations. Easy deposit, lightning fast payouts using crypto. I talked about this yesterday a little bit, but Lewis Hamilton, 18-1 to win the British Grand Prix. I'm liking that a lot. That's available over on MyBookie. So head over to mybookie.ag. Use that promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000. Terms and conditions apply. That's mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN. All right. I'm even going to remember to put the little overlay back on today. Oh, getting better at this. I still will have no problem relinquishing this seat to Rod because I like to just ride shotgun and let him control everything. But that's okay. All right. Let's catch up with the chat over here. Impulse says, unless they take each other out, one of the two should win 99% of the time. You're probably not very far off of there. Truth Matters says, don't laugh at me, gents, but am I crazy for thinking Mosak? I just never want to touch him after he fucked me so hard at Mid-Ohio last year. But he's a road course guy. He's on the 14 car, I do believe, which is a SS Greenlight entry. That should be a decent car. I mean, we've seen SS Greenlights had good cars, had bad cars. It's not the worst of cars by any means. I think it was Eric Amarola that won in a green light, or Cole Custer won a bunch of races in the green light cars a couple years ago when he was moonlighting in Xfinity, when he was full-time Cup the previous time. he might not be. And where is he at for pricing wise? Trying to look, he's 7,100. So, especially you're trying to squeeze in SVG and Zilich. Might be a guy you got to look at to get those guys in there. Cousin Danny says, if Leg wins me 100K this weekend, I'll enter the Gran Lismo. Yeah, I'm sorry to say that you won't be entering that contest, but that's okay. Let's see. Experts suck saying Stars, SVG, Elliott, Scrubs, Haley, Jones. Yeah, I guess that's there you go. TK says, I'd say Perkins is worth considering as a top 10 guy because of street course experience. More importantly, because he's in the 19 car. So, yeah, we'll have to see what those top 10 odds look like. Hopefully they give us top 10 Xfinity odds this week since they didn't last week. So we'll see. Danny wants to clarify that we're not betting Leg again this week. The Discord as a whole learned their lesson in that one. A1LV saying, if we snag SVG minus 110 to win, what other drivers would you snag for your lineup that would challenge SVG in the Xfinity race? When it comes to outrights, if that's what you're looking for, tune back in tomorrow. I've got some ideas. One of those ideas might be Sam Mayer, but you'll have to tune back into the Xfinity picks when I tell you that. And TK was pointing out Mosak was good last year, but in the JRM 88. So, keep that in mind. All right, let's move over to my mid-tier Xfinity Series guy. I am going to highlight Mr. Christian Eckes, $8,300. Played him a couple of weeks ago at Mexico, and that worked out pretty damn well for us. He had a great day at Mexico. And what we've seen from him so far, it's been small sample size. We've not seen a ton from Eckes on road courses, but what we've seen so far has been great, right? Races for Colleague. He's learned a lot, I think, underneath of AJ Allmendinger already. 5th place finish at Coda to open up the season, started 10th. That's a great solid day when it comes to DFS. And then if you go to Mexico City a couple weeks ago, started 34th all the way at the back of the field and finished 4th place. That is a fucking DFS day that you're looking for. I mean, the points that you get off of a day like that, and I am trying to pull that up exactly to look at it, but huge day, 70 points on a road course especially. Didn't lead a single lap, didn't have a fastest lap, doesn't matter as much here. But yeah, that's a massive day from a guy like Christian Eckes. And that's better than what a guy like Zilich scored. Obviously Zilich didn't have, he came back and finished 5th, right? But 42.9 points. So if you get one of these top guys that starts towards the back, I think that it's definitely good to look at them and consider them because, obviously, you've got more upside being able to get that place differential when there's not as many laps led, not as many, fastest laps, those things to get here with only 50 laps. That's definitely a bit of a concern when it comes to max points. But so Eckes top 5s in both of those Xfinity starts. Those are his only Xfinity starts on road courses. Go back to last year though in the trucks at Coda, starts 10th, finishes 8th. So another solid run there for him. And then digging back a little bit farther to the previous year, did have a rough day at Coda that time. But Mid-Ohio starts 4th, finishes in 3rd place. So really, Christian Eckes has been a solid Xfinity Series guy. And 8,300, I think he's a great play. So if we're building this lineup, you got Zilich, you got SVG, you got Eckes. You still have 5,900 per driver to play. So again, I don't think you have to play both Zilich and Van Gisbergen. I think maybe if you're a multi-entry person, it's good to play just SVG lineups. It's probably good to play just Zilich lineups as well, in case one or the other has problems. That's definitely another strong way to attack things. So jumping over to my low price guy, we're going to go back to the Josh Bilicki well. This worked out well for us a couple of weeks ago at Mexico. So we're gonna run it back with Mr. Bilicki. He is $5,600. So if you go, really, he's just strong and steady each and every single week, but not anything impressive really at all at Mexico. And it still was great, right? Starts in 28th place, not a great starting spot, finishes in 24th place. That's all he had to do for 22 points. That is a solid, strong day. And he just delivers solid days just about each and every week. He's one of the cheaper guys I look to just about every week. He's a veteran at this point in time, been around for a long time, 27 points at Pocono, 10 points back at Texas. Okay, but 33 points at Boy, where was that? North Carolina Education. The Charlotte would have been that. Yep, third. So 33 there. Darlington was 25. 24, 44.9. Oh, that was a super speedway, but some great days by Bilicki. $5,600 for Josh Bilicki. Again, doesn't have to be anything super impressive. Go back to Coda, same thing. Starts 26th, finishes 22nd. In the Mexico City, it was 28th to 24th. That's just kind of the norm for Bilicki. That's what you're looking for. Doesn't need to be any more impressive than that. If you go back to the Roval last year, he actually started in fourth and finished in eighth. That's still a pretty strong day. But he's got some upside. Watkins Glen, he starts in 26th, finishes in 10th place. It was a rough day here at the street course, right? At 24th place start, ended up in 36th, got caught up in stuff that happens. But Portland, he goes out, starts 8th, finishes 12th. Like, he's had some really good runs. And then if you go back to the street course race here in 2023, he did not race in that one. Just kidding. So never mind on that. But you go to the Roval, 25th place finish. Watkins Glen, 25th. Indianapolis, 18th. Road America, 8th. He's definitely got some upside in some of these. So Josh Bilicki, $5,600. I like that. So he is going to be my low tier guy. Let's see. Chat Impulse is saying, I think Zilich and SVG will run away from the rest in Xfinity. I think that's going to be common thought, common theory, right? So that's where in the Xfinity DFS, you want to kind of, try and shake things up a little bit for sure. But as Rod would always say, get out your pen and paper. I'll quickly recap the DFS picks for the Xfinity series. SVG, 12,500. He is going to kick off my high tier guys. Christian Eckes, $8,300. And Josh Bilicki, $5,600. All right, I am going to shift my attention over to the Cup Series, where we are scheduled for. What are we scheduled for? That's a great question. The Grant Park 165, 75 laps. So, the Xfinity race only 2/3 of this distance, but only 25 more laps. So same thing here, right? 75 laps definitely is more laps led, more fastest laps, but still not a ton. You're going to have the stage flip and stuff. You're probably going to have some strategy in here. Don't expect one guy to probably go lead all of these laps, but we will jump over into the Cup Series side of things here. And, might not really be that surprising to many, but SVG, we're going to lead the card off with him yet again. $12,000 at the top of the board for SVG. I think that, I talked yesterday, it's hard to bet on SVG at the price that he's at. Minus money some places. You can get him. I think I saw a 2-1 today. I'm not saying not to do it. It's hard bet to make. We saw what happened last year, right? Everybody played him in everything. Ends up in 14th or 40th place, rather. Dead last is where he finished. So that part of it is what makes things questionable, right? And makes it tough. But if you're looking at him on the DFS side of things, he doesn't necessarily have to win, right? He can go out and have a great day. He can lead a bunch of laps. He can look dominant. Maybe he slides back and finishes second or fifth or something like that. He's not going to kill you. It's kind of the same thing in the Cup Series as I guess I don't know where I was trying to go there, but he should be dominant, right? He should lead a ton of laps. He should be fast. He should be the best car. He should be the car to beat. But yeah, there's less risk taking him in the DFS, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at there. So same story here, right? Don't play him in everything. If you're trying to get in some of these contests and take him down, you're probably going to need him. But if you don't play him, you're going to be different than a lot of the crowd. So if he does finish 40th like he did last year, that is going to certainly give you an opportunity to capitalize on everybody else's misfortune having him. So I was trying to pull up all of his road course stats here, if I can type a little bit faster. But we know what he's done here at the Chicago Street Course, of course, winning in year one. Mexico City just recently, that was the one where we really saw it, right? He leads 60 laps of the 100, That's a pretty strong DFS day. He actually 68.1 points that day. Goes out and just, he wins by, I think it was 16 seconds, largest margin of victory we've had in quite some time. And just really impressive kind of ass whooping. That's why he's such a heavy favorite this week, because it's like, okay, he's now fully got this stuff figured out. Now, still some devil's advocate, right? That was a new track. He's going to have more of an advantage on a new track, but he still has the advantage here at Chicago. He still is the best road course guy currently in the Cup Series. I think we can elevate him to that status. I'm comfortable putting him there. And he's been good each and every time we've gone out. You go back to Coda. Coda last year is kind of a perfect example, and really, or Coda earlier this year, I'm sorry. And the Roval last year was the other one I was looking at. And Watkins Glen, same thing. They're all kind of the perfect example of why he's hard to bet on to outright to win this, but why he's still a great play in DFS. Because at Coda this spring, he led 23 laps, right? So he got you a bunch of laps led, starts in 6th place, but he finished in 6th. So if you bet him outright, you just lose that money and you're out and it's gone. But if you had him in DFS, he goes out and he has a pretty solid day because he leads 23 laps. He still finishes in 6th place, no place differential, but he gets those points led laps for you. He gets the finishing position laps. You like that. Go back to the Roval last year, kind of a similar thing, right? Leads 21 laps, has a good day after starting on the pole, but finishes in 7th. So if you bet him outright at plus 150, plus 200, sorry, you're out your money. It's gone. But if you played him in DFS, it's a little bit of a different story because he still got your laps led, still had a strong day when it comes to that. And the Watkins Glen last year only led 1 lap, but 2nd place finish. If you had him outright in that, heartbreaking, obviously, as Buschard takes him down. So, he's got 8 road course / street course starts to his credit now. He's only won twice, so there is that. Now, recency is king, right? And he's back in Trackhouse. He's looked impressive in that car. Ran a great race. It's still Chicago. Going to be good. Should have been good here last year. Did lead 9 laps before getting caught up in that Briscoe wreck. But while I don't feel comfortable betting on him to win this race, I feel extremely comfortable playing him at the top of the board at $12,000. So going to start off with SVG at the top of the board. I'm going to give you my mid-tier and low-tier guys here in a minute. Also want to take a few, if you've got a few guys you're interested in, some thoughts on. If I have a little bit of time at the end of this, I would certainly love to touch on those. But first, I want to tell you about my friends over at Underdog. Underdog Best Ball Mania is happening all summer long. They're giving away $15 million in prizes, including $2 million to first place. No waiver wire, no arguments about trades. Best ball is the best way to play fantasy football. You draft, you set it, you forget it. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have all the upkeep. It's just based on what you saw going into the season. I personally love that. I play a ton of best ball. Underdog's also a great place to play pick'em. Go in there. We, stay tuned to the YouTube Sports NASCAR Gambling Podcast YouTube channel. We'll have our shorts out later this week with some Underdog plays that we like. Those are not up just yet, but they do have my guy Drake May listed over there for season-long projection for rushing yards. And I love his rushing yards projection this year. 424.5, way too low of a number. So I have definitely entered a few, and that's fun too because you can mix in things from this weekend with F1, with NASCAR, like they've got USAC on their MLB, whatever it is, and you can toss in those future types of plays, right, where it's a projection that's season long, and then you just get to keep seeing that slip in your thing all season. You're like, oh yeah, I hit these. Now I just got to wait for him to get to his 426 rushing yards. Easy peasy. You'll probably have that by week 7, week 8. Then you'll just be waiting to cash that out. So gotta love that. So make sure you head over to underdogfantasy.com. Use that promo code RACESGPN to claim your special pick. First time deposit. Offer up to $1,000 in bonus credits. That's underdogfantasy.com. Promo code RACESGPN. We are also brought to you by Rhythm. You've heard us talk about Rhythm before, and they just dropped a game-changing feature called Power Trends. These AI-detected patterns are where Rhythm's model has consistently won and has high ROI. Think a strikeout prop that wins 59% of the time when the line and win probability hit a certain range. Power trends are updated daily and exclusive to Rhythm. No touts, no noise, just clean data-backed bets. Download the Rhythm app today. Check out power trends and start betting smarter. You know we will be. Friends over at Rhythm yesterday had put out a prop just crazy. And I was I probably should have done a better job of saving that prop, but I will find it here nonetheless. But they had a guy that had cashed in 9 out of 10 games. Just absolutely incredible job by Rhythm. And that's what you're going to get from their power trends. So make sure you head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm and get your 7-day free trial started today. All right. Let's see. We are going to get back in and finish out DFS lineup here. So jumping over to my mid-tier play, we're going to go back to the man, the myth, the legend, Prosper, Texas's own. What is it? Cinnamon Toast Chris, I believe is what he's going by now. Chris Buescher, $8,600. Talked about him yesterday on the betting episode. If you've not already listened to that, gave out the car lift on Buescher. Buescher is the man when it comes to road courses. He is so consistent at them, and really just about everything you want, you get in Chris Buescher. I think this price is great, $8,600 for a guy that you know is going to show up. He's going to perform well. He always performs well, right? 20th place last year in this race, so wasn't the best of days, but that was a bit of an outlier based on everything else. 10th place here in 2023, which is on par with what he does. He was 10th at Mexico a couple of weeks ago, 7th at Coda, had a 17th at the Roval, but he won Watkins Glen, outdueled SVG there, right? 3rd place at Sonoma, 8th place at Coda last year, 7th at the Roval in 22, 7th at Watkins Glen, 11th at Indy, 4th at Sonoma, 8th at Coda. Great runs by him. Top 10 in 16 of 19 road course / street courses in the next gen era. Chris Buescher is a guy who gets it done. Also, been a little bit on fire lately here, right? Atlanta, you go back, 9th place finish. Pocono, he was 4th place. The 10th place at Mexico, 2nd place at Michigan. Kind of, got off the schneid a little bit. It was a little bit of a down year, kind of rough. We kind of stepped away from him for a little bit, but he's picking things back up, really getting stuff figured out. Chris Buescher, just a driver that I absolutely love this week. So $8,600, I think, is a great price for Christopher Cinnamon Toast Chris, I think is what we're going with now. And I think that they should make that a permanent sponsorship because just an absolutely beautiful car, and love to see that. So TK checking in. Biggest potential issue for SVG would be if qualifying is rained out for one or both series, as it would put him second to last in Xfinity and far back at Cup. Might not be a bad thing for DFS purposes because if he's starting in the back, that's going to be a lot of place differential, and then he'll be able to add on to everything else. So to that point, to the DFS portion of things, I wouldn't be scared if SVG does have to start in the back. Whether it's due to rain, whether it's due to bad qualifying, whatever causes that, that's not going to change how you feel about him. I'm going to play him if he starts up front. I'm going to play him if he starts mid-pack. I'm going to play him if he starts out back, because he's SVG. We know what he can do. We've seen what he can do. So, I mean, yeah, in the DFS world, really probably not going to matter too much because everybody's going to have him. So he's sort of just a defensive play at this point in time, and it's just going to wash out your other picks or what's going to make the big difference. But, say Zilich starts up front, which I'm sure with the metric, he probably starts on the pole or near the pole based on how he's been running lately. But that would be a great opportunity to be able to play both with SVG getting all the place differential. Zilich, in theory, leading a bunch of laps early. You could like that as well. So, yeah, I'm not going to be swayed off of playing SVG in either series, pretty much no matter where he starts. All right, cousin Danny wants to know why there was an Oompa Loompa in the in the picture here. I had to get an opportunity to use our guy Richard Stenhouse Jr. here. I was looking through. at the bottom of the board. I was looking through some of these cheaper prices, and I didn't mention the entry list here, but it is worth noting, right, that we've got 41 entries for 40 spots in the Cup Series. So for the first time outside of the Daytona 500 since 2018, I think it is, there is going to be a driver that goes home. So that's very notable in and of itself. So, and the driver that goes home will be one of these drivers. So keep this in mind. If you're starting to build lineups already, one of these drivers won't make the race. And that's the number 13, Will Brown. He's a supercars guy coming over racing for Colleague. Austin Hill's making a start in the 33 for RCR. Josh Bilicki, who I just mentioned, he's going to be in the 66. Corey Haim's going to be in the 67, and Catherine Legg in the number 78 car. This is where charters obviously come in. They're very important because if you mess up in practice, you wreck, you're not able to go out for qualifying. Those drivers don't have to worry about losing their spot in this race. They're locked in based on the charter system. So one of these open drivers will go home. So just keep that in mind. DraftKings is always great about marking them as out, but make sure you're paying attention. So as I was looking through this, Catherine Legg, if she does make the race, she's been an okay play so far in the couple races that she started. 14 points at Mexico, starts 30. If she does make the race, she's going to start the back, right? So 37th there, finished in 32nd, moves up based on attrition. She won her head-to-head against guys like Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch. So there you go. That's something to hang your hat on, right? Josh Bilicki, tough to play these guys way down here, right? I think just not as much of an advantage. So I was looking through the Chief guys. Cody Ware didn't really stand out to me. Ty Dillon, I considered. He ran pretty decent at Mexico. Didn't end up with the result at the end of the day, but there was certainly something there you could take some off of. Riley Herbst, I stopped, I hesitated. You could maybe play him. Austin Hill's not been great in the Cup Series in any of his starts. Gregson, I did make a case for the top Ford, so you could definitely, there's a case to be made if he is the top Ford, obviously. For DFS purposes, you could hit, but inconsistent. Josh Berry didn't really jump off the board. But Ricky Stenhouse, 5,700, so that was basically everybody from the bottom up. Stenhouse is kind of the first one that I stopped on here. And sort of kind of like a little bit, right? I guess if that's what we're going to go with. But he's been pretty decent on road courses. It's still hit and miss, right? And that's probably what you're going to get with all of these people way down here. But started 33rd at Mexico, finished 27th. So nothing's overly impressive, but decent enough day. It's 21 points. You'll take that for somebody this cheap. You're trying to save money. You want to squeeze in your SVG types at the top of the board, and that type of run helps you here. Started 22nd at Coda, finished 18th. That's another solid day. Go back to the Roval, 24th to 16th. Nothing overly impressive, but just solid days. Watkins Glen was a rough day, but here at the street course last year, started 33rd near the back of the field, finished in 6th place. There was a lot of circumstances that went into that. Craziness. We had some weather. We had the shortening of the race late, right? All this stuff. But hey, we might get some of that shit again this year because who the fuck knows with the street course, right? That is a hell of a day. Starting in 33rd, finishing in 6th. That is a super strong day. He did finish 34th here in the first year, but he started 36th. So really, he didn't overly hurt you too bad there anyways. But he's had some other flashes of just good runs. You go back to Watkins Glen in 2023, he starts 28th, finishes 13th. So a lot of these, like, keep noting, not starting really well. He doesn't seem to qualify well on the road courses, which for DFS purposes, we like that actually, because we want him to start a little farther back because a place differential is where he's going to help us out along with finishing position. But 28th to 13th, that's a great day for a guy that's this cheap as Ricky Stenhouse is. Had a 12th place at Sonoma in 23, a 7th place finish after starting 18th at Coda in 2023. 19th at the Roval, 15th at Watkins Glen, 13th at the Indy Road Course, 19th at Road America. We're not betting on him to finish in the top 10. We're just playing him as a cheap, DFS play, and old car actually even a little bit of better results. So he's not a guy that you think of really at all when it comes to road courses. Not a guy that jumps to top of mind, but he's got some upside. He's been fairly consistent, right? There's some duds in there, and you're going to get that, I think, with pretty much anybody down in this range. But 5,700, a guy that you're not going to hear us talk about on road courses very often, coming off a great freaking run last week, 74 points at Atlanta. Probably not going to do that again, right? But he looked very good there, and he's had some solid days here lately. Pocono was, I guess, a little bit rough, but 20th place finish at Michigan, 11th place finish at the Coke 600. So there's been some good runs. Texas, he ran 6th place. Great day for him there. So been some good runs for Stenhouse. You know, with the sale of that team this year, moving over to Hayek, it was like, oh boy, this might be a rough team, but they've put together a pretty strong season. And if it wasn't for Hocevar, kind of fucking him over multiple times throughout this season, might be even more in play in the points battle for a late playoff spot, although those keep disappearing a little bit. But yeah, Ricky Stenhouse, a guy that I wanted to make sure to highlight today, because at 5,700, I think that he is definitely a guy worth noting. All right, let's go back over to the chat. TK, Mayer is 1, Quapple 2, Zilich 3 in the metric. I've got a lot more thoughts on Sam Mayer tomorrow. I will definitely be talking a ton about him. And we'll see what Quapple, Mayer, honestly, from the outright perspective, is on my card. We don't have finishing props yet, so we'll see. Quapple, definitely a guy I have circled. He's popped out in the research, so and I guess this is the starting metric, I guess, is where TK is going with this. But boy, if Mayer starts on the poll, although he's pretty expensive in the DFS, he is the 3rd highest priced driver, but that could be where you roll with an SVG and a Mayer. That I think that alone could differentiate you a little bit. So there is that. If qualifying gets rained out, she will start 22nd. I'm guessing that's Catherine Legg, and I don't know why she would start that high, but she definitely would not be a play if that's the case. And TK saying if it does qualify or if it does rain out, Will Brown would be out unless there's some kind of foreign champ provisional, but there is not for this race. So, and Cousin Danny defending Hocevar, he did nothing wrong. I know he did almost win the Coca-Cola 600, of course. So I love Carson Hocevar. Rod actually just texted me. He said that he has 2 plays he wanted to give out. One was Carson Hocevar at 7,200. The other was Ty Gibbs at 93. Okay, he did not, but Ty Gibbs at 9,300 is a great play. I did touch on this yesterday. I'd be real hesitant on anything Hocevar this week. This is the week, this week and next week too, but this week more than any other week, this is the easiest week for guys to pay him back without it being overtly obvious. We're going to know, and NASCAR's not stupid either, but it's not going to be penalty worthy likely if they take him out here. But Ryan Blaney's going to be hunting him if he's close. Ricky Stenhouse obviously is going to be hunting him if he's close. I think there's some other people in the field that wouldn't mind shipping him. So just keep that in mind if you are wanting to play anything when it comes to Hocevar this week. I'd be real hesitant just because I think that he's on a lot of people's shit lists, and if there's any week where they're going to get him and it's not going to be so bad, then this is that week. So Tristan checking in. Nice to see you, Tristan, in the chat. Appreciate you jumping in. Says, don't sleep on Perkins. He can drive. So Jack Perkins, we'll go ahead and pull him up, not the American reporter and commentator. I'd like to see the Australian racing car driver. He is 38 years old. So let's take a look at him. He is an Australian racing driver who's competed in the Pertec Enduro Cup. Currently drives, blah, blah, blah. So he has Supercars championship career. He's 151 races. He's got a win, 3 podiums. So it's not like lighting the world on fire like an SVG was, certainly in that world. But looks like he's done a lot of different. He's a FIA gold rated license, right? He's done a lot of different things, raced in a lot of things. Australian Formula Ford, Victorian Formula Ford, supercars, couple different supercar series, Aussie racing cars, more of the V8 stuff, Australian GT trophy, Carrick sports sedan. So yeah, he's got a ton of different things that he's raced in. And, most importantly with a guy like that, the fact that he's in a great car, right? He's in the 19 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. We know that these cars are very similar to what they've got in the over in the Supercar series, right? They do kind of translate a lot in that. That's why SVG came in and had such success right away, right? And obviously wins in his first start. I don't know that Perkins is going to maybe do that. And we'll have to see. It's going to kind of depend where, when it comes to the prop market, where he's at when that comes out. As far as DFS, I was going to try and pull him up quickly. They have got him. Boy, he's listed at. They don't even have. Do they not have him loaded into DFS here? They've got Blaine Perkins. Where's Jack Perkins at here? DraftKings. Okay, so they don't appear to have him loaded. So interesting. Not sure why he is not loaded in here, but yeah, I do not see him. The search does not bring him up. So, yeah. DraftKings is sleeping a little bit on the entry list, so they're going to have to get that figured out. Have to get him added. I did want to, while we're talking about these supercar guys and whatnot, moving back over to let's see here. TK checks in. I think Perkins will be relatively good driving wise due to street experience, but could easily make some pit issues or other procedural issue that creates a problem. That is one of the bigger things with these guys, right? A lot of times they're used to going on pit road. You hit the little button, it sets the speed. You don't have to worry about speeding. The pit crew thing. I know SVG had kind of mentioned it when he came over. The guys running out in front of the car just blew his mind, because in supercars they're like already out, much like IndyCar. They're like out on the track already, or on the pit road already, just waiting for them to pull in. So the guy's kind of running around, throws them off. We see a lot of guys that come over from other series and stuff get speeding penalty issues, things like that. That stuff is always concerning. I'm not just going to outright dismiss any of these guys because we saw what SVG came and did, but I think that's more the SVG thing. I think more of an outlier than anything. I will mention Will Brown though. I wanted to touch on him. $7,300 in DraftKings. So from a betting aspect, sort of brought him up yesterday. It's like, boy, he's only plus 110 or something for a top 10. It's just, you can make the case for him to finish that good, but I don't know, again, that the bet's worth it. But $7,300, if you're trying to save a little bit of money, he could certainly be a good play. We'll see where he qualifies, what he kind of looks like in practice. The one concerning thing is that 13 Colleague car. That car's typically not been great. We've seen Colleague be stronger this year, so potentially less of an issue, certainly. So, he's an interesting case. I'm definitely not going to outright dismiss him. At 7,300 in DFS, he could be a bit of a sneaky play, especially if he's not super impressive in practice. He doesn't qualify well. If he doesn't qualify well, that's probably when I'm going to play him, because he's going to be starting more towards the back, and you kind of just hope that he gets it figured out throughout the course of the race. But 7,300, the price is good enough that I think I would consider him. You look at some of the people around him. Carson Hocevar, I don't really want to touch. Denny Hamlin's a little cheaper. Man, I was going to try and make a case for Denny Hamlin this week, but he's just not good on road courses. Like Logano's can be so-so. Keselowski's not good on road course. I mean, I'd rather probably play Will Brown than Brad Keselowski's at 6,900. Nice. Justin Haley, I do kind of like this week, but guys a little bit higher than him. Blaney, it's hit and miss with Blaney. Suarez, it's hit and miss. Like, man, I really wanted to be on Suarez this week, especially with the news of him, losing his ride. I think next week's going to be the week to jump on him at Sonoma, but he's just been up and down on road courses, especially lately. Like, it's not been overly great. Kyle Busch is definitely an interesting play. Austin Cindric, like, I looked at him. It's inconsistent as well. So I think Will Brown, there definitely is worthy of bringing up and just mentioning, at 7,300 that he could be a potential play as well. So, all right, I'm going to put a bow on this. So get out your pen and paper. You can, if you would like, write down my 3 official plays real quick. Shane van Gisbergen, SVG, $12,000. Christopher Buescher, Cinnamon Toast Chris, $8,600. And Richard Stenhouse Jr., Ricky Stenhouse is what he often goes by, $5,700. And the experts say, I'm still on Reddick, unplayable, the quote. Reddick been pretty decent at this track. well, one good finish, one bad finish, but he's run well here. Man, the inconsistencies in Reddick, the inconsistencies in Larson. That's, we had this conversation kind of in the Discord earlier today, but that's what makes those guys tough. And it's tough to be on them because they can show up and be great. They're amazing drivers, but also the inconsistencies is what really, really kills them. So, all right. Well, I appreciate the chat hanging out with me again. We've made it through another show. One more to go, and then Rod will be back with us next week for Sonoma. And Rod currently planning to go to Sonoma. He's got approved for his credentials. So we'll have him to talk about Sonoma next week. Then he will be in person at the track, which is going to be really exciting as well. So thank you, TK. One for the road. SVG, SVG, SVG. You got to love it. So, yeah, it's awesome. All right, I will be back tomorrow, finally, with Xfinity Series bets. There will be a show, whether they give us more odds or not. We'll make it work, but looking forward to that. Hopefully, we'll have the full slate and be able to cover that. No trucks this week, so full Xfinity show. Hopefully, we'll get some of Rod's plays. I'll be able to give those out as well, but really get to dive deep into the weeds on the Xfinity Series tomorrow, which I am looking forward to. All right, make sure you go follow Rod over on the X at RJ Villagomez. He's a great follow over there. He's always got tons and tons of content. Check out all of his stuff. He does a wonderful job as always. You can follow me on the X at Husker_Zeeb. Follow all my work there. The 32 NFL teams going through, giving my 3 best bets for all those. More articles dropping each and every day of those. I just had Tour de France article come out. You can check that out. Tons of other stuff in the works and going on behind the scenes. So make sure you check it out. I appreciate everybody that reads the articles, takes the time. Clicking on those helps out a ton. Thanks for listening to these episodes, subscribing over on the YouTube. All that stuff helps. Make sure you leave those ratings, reviews. That helps a ton. Bosses definitely notice stuff like that. Comment on the YouTube page after we post the video. That's a great way to get your comments, your thoughts in on things. So we always appreciate that as well. All right, I am going to get out of here. But thanks everybody for tuning in. I will see you all tomorrow for Xfinity Series Talk. Let's go racing and let it ride.